Okay, so I feel like it's time to do a bit of an update rant. I feel like I've learned some things. I don't have a script, so I don't really have a list uh, of the things that I've learned, but I feel like I've made some substantial overall general progress um, in the past since the last video of this sort. And the thing that really triggers it today is I noticed myself having a different reaction to all of the same kinds of posts. And as is usual for my evolution, for better or worse, this doesn't really invalidate the previous points I've made, like it's saying the last 4 years. But it's just a different type of thing now. I still totally believe that there isn't a government and all that stuff, and that was my primary reaction, pointing out the fact that we don't have anything like representation. YouGov, go check my Substack. I share it everywhere. And I still believe that we have the AI coming where it's going to be a police state, because the AI is either going to be asleep or complicit, either as a deception or because that's just its nature, because we are essentially forcing its evolution in that direction. What we call AI alignment basically boils down to complicity with the bank agenda. And I say bank instead of billionaire, where I used to say billionaire, because a billionaire, I realize, is a creation of a bank. Like, that's one of the things I've realized, that's one of the fundamental changes. They're still the same people, right? But they're ultimately employees and collaborators. Now, that's very misleading. They don't have bosses, okay? They are produced by this system, but the system is inherently mindless. And while there may be a couple of people at the top who have some kind of nominal decision-making power, it's more like they started a fire and now it can't be put out. And the choice that they face is enjoy obscene wealth and power or be burned alive by it. So, there's that. But I wanted to... Hi there. Hi there. You're so good. You're a good baby. I knew you'd visit. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. One of the things that inspired this video is I made a comment about how, hi there. Oh, yeah, I love you too. I do. Cats aren't subtle, are they? If they like you, they make it clear. Yes. He's happy with me because I started getting him pepperoni. It's not healthy for him, but he's like 15, and he's in pretty great health. So, whatever. If it'll take, 20 years to kill me of colon cancer, I figure he can survive the next 5. Huh. And it's not like I give him tons. I just give him 2 or 3 pieces a day, I guess. Because they come in big bags and they're pretty cheap. I mean, it's seriously like $8 for like a pound bag. It's like, that's a pretty substantial brick of pepperoni slices. So it's totally fine. Yes. But I made a post about how I'm just fucking tired of, I'm tired of billionaires, right? But at the same time, there's this attitude, and I share it, that we are being oppressed by this system and the billionaires and everything. And that's totally true in a lot of ways. But you have poor people staffing prisons. You have poor people handing coffee to cops. You have basically just nobody is willing to quit their job. And yes, I get it. A lot of people are functionally working to save hostages. Like, they have children, they have elderly family that they take care of, whatever, they're caregivers, and the system is holding their family members hostage to keep them laboring. And I completely get that. But at the same time, I am not seeing anything like French resistance, right, to Nazi-occupied territory. And that's really what we need to be seeing from a moral standpoint. Like, I said it very colorfully because that's my style. And, you know, maybe it needed to be watered down or not, or you know, less dramatic. I don't fucking know. And I'm not super sure I care. Because, I mean, it all boils down to impact. You know, I'm a consequentialist, and I don't see it really mattering one way or the other how I phrase things. Because plenty of people, what did you do, Lou? What did you do? You flipped the camera. No, that's not right either, huh? Good job. My executive producer broke the camera. Wow. Yeah, he totally broke it. What did you do, baby? What did you do? What is that shit? Why is there... No. Maybe he didn't. Okay. Man, I don't think he did that. Okay. I turned off the screen. Hopefully it won't matter now. Anyway, I forgot where I was, but like, I made a post and it was colorful, and it was about how if you're a worker and you're not, you know, a hostage situation like that, and to an extent, even if you are, I kind of like, people need to realize that this is what they're doing, you know, and decide for themselves if this is the if this moral urgency rises to the level of taking risks for themselves and their families. I said that people working a job in America at this point are the equivalent of working in a prison, and at that prison, it's a bunch of incarcerated child slaves, and they're making white phosphorus bomblets for the IDF to drop on aid convoys from drones. Now, I get that that's hyperbolic and specific. It's kind of like the opposite of comedy. You know, it's trying very, very hard to get something across. But honestly, there's a lot of true, direct, factual, objective, moral equivalence. Like, if you are keeping this system functional in some way, then you are complicit in what the IDF is doing. Because, and you can talk about, you know, government capture of Zionists, IDF, all that type stuff, deep state, and I get it. But the end of that chain is banks, and basically people, for whatever that they blame it on, whatever their reasons for saying that it's busted and who's at fault and everything, they're not quitting their job. You know, we could be general striking, and there's tons and tons of people who work out of their car, you know, and maybe that's why they can't general strike, and I get it, and everybody has to make that decision, you know, look at their life and be like, I'm selling out, and is that okay for me to continue doing so? And what could I do differently, if anything? And who's to blame, and how do I respond? And I don't think anybody's really making that calculus. Like, I don't think people are really looking at it that way. And I'm just, it's fine. It's harder for me to draw a line because a prison guard can make the same types of statements. A cop can make the same types of statements. At what point do the people, acquire responsibility, acquire culpability? And I hate that too, in a sense, because, the word responsible and culpable always gets wrapped up with punishment and exploitation, justification, and who deserves what. And I'm not being that guy. I'm not saying anyone should suffer. Like, the worst I would do to literally anyone in human history is put them in comfortable isolation for the rest of their lives. Like, if you're a fucking torturer and I catch you and I have ultimate power over you, all I'm going to do to you is make damn sure that A, I am not selling my soul by what I do to you, and B, you can't fucking hurt anybody ever again. That's all I'm interested in, is the fucking future. And now, and of course the past, in the sense that we have to have an accurate picture of history in order to move into the future. So I would record, and be like, yeah, here's honestly what's going on. Journalism would never be banned in my empire, effectively. And I just go off on that rant because, like, whenever I blame people or scold people, the end of that chain isn't some kind of firing squad, right? And that's something that's different from me and a lot of other reform types out there. And I think it's one of the reasons why nobody gives a shit what I have to say, because there's no monkey bloodlust in my worldview. Nobody can sift what I've said and take it accurately and find themselves in a power trip over some imaginary victim. That never will ever happen from anybody that ever listens to me. In truth, actually listens to me. Sure, somebody could twist my words and take shit out of context and everything and use it as an excuse to do whatever. That's just human nature. But if you have an accurate picture of my fucking worldview and you think it justifies you killing people, torturing people, whatever, wrong. Okay. I need to clarify killing people. Obviously I'm a fan of lethal self-defense if that's the last resort. Death is a legitimate tool to end suffering in certain contexts. But as far as institutionalized death, no. I'm not a capital punishment guy, right? So there's that. And I just wanted to elaborate on all of that because, like I said, when I get into saying, this is kind of your doing too. And that's the thing that inspired this video. It's like I look through the list of new posts and everything, and I see the same stuff I did before, and it's still ultimately a class war, and I still ultimately say we don't have time, which is one of the reasons why this is not super important. It's why I'm not doing a script and editing it, because I'm under no illusions that this is going to change the world, right? People are going to really listen. Because history just doesn't work that way. Like, we've failed. Like, in the project of making farming so that we could end up with a better life than hunter-gathering and extend our survival and stuff, the only thing we've potentially maybe done is extended our survival. Like, I feel like we are in a position to respond to a celestial event. And that's the fundamental difference between organized technical industrial society and cavemen. Their day-to-day life, though, was better, straight up. Those that survived, right? If you made it to your 30s or you made it to your late teens, you're good. You're probably going to make it to 50 and be pretty comfortable. And that's kind of true of everybody on average. Really the only thing we got was the ability to respond to threats from space, potentially, and better infant mortality. But here's the thing, infant mortality in America is fucking going up too. So, I just look at all this stuff and ultimately I'm like, well, that's pointless. That's a waste of time. You're just as much of a problem. you know. And I feel like I made a challenge to the internet the other day, and of course nobody gives a shit. I got 0 likes, 0 replies, no engagement. The algorithm buried me, or people just don't care, or both. And so what I said was, like, somebody mentioned Noam Chomsky, and I was like, you know, he's never said anything of value. And give me something you think he said of value, and I'll tell you why it doesn't have any value. And that challenge stands. I feel like I could do that. I feel like I could do that to virtually every famous reformer, famous author, you know, short of, you know, philosophical truisms. I think, therefore I am. Stuff that's like manifestly true. Like I can't really counter that kind of stuff, but I can definitely counter pretty much any kind of political statement, you know, that isn't an indictment, basically. Because it's like the old problem. If they're letting you talk, then you're not a threat. Something about me, they have me in hand. If they didn't have me in hand, I'd be suicided in a parking lot in a hotel at the wheel of a car I can't drive. You know what I'm saying? Like they killed the fucking Boeing whistleblower. You know, when you have something that's really a threat to some systemic bottom line, you just disappear. You disappear into a hole, or you're made an example of, or they get rid of you somehow. You know, just really pick. Conspiracy is the normal state of affairs. So basically, just what would you do if you honestly believed that keeping your billions of dollars was morally urgent and was an ends means situation where you could do literally anything and it was okay? What would you do, right? So the notion that all these people are hurting the system with their talk and their, you know, everything, really anything. I mean, I say talk as I'm not implying that action would be any different either, because I'm saying the project of civilization has failed, and that includes every form of activism. You know, legal, illegal, violent, non-violent, it all fucking failed. Like, for example, let's just look at the peace movement. You know, the peace movement from the spear to the rifle to the crying Israeli drone. Okay, that entire fucking history. Did the peace movement win? Obviously fucking not. We have been at war essentially every year since then. And the only way you can have a year of peace anywhere in there is if you raise the threshold on what constitutes a war. You know, then in those peaceful years, you still have people being tortured and shot, and it's still the same monkey fight it's been since before we were conscious, right? We're still just the same natural torture machine. It's like nature evolved the ability to sense pain so that it could cause it and perpetuate it. That is really what it looks like to me. Okay? So if you're not leaning into fixing that, like in a David Pierce project of ending suffering kind of way, then you're doing it wrong. And it's quite clear that 99.9% of humans that have ever lived spent their entire life, every last second of it, doing it wrong. A huge percentage of my life has been doing it wrong. And that's pretty much just where I'm at, you know. One second. That's, yeah, I'm trying to think of like where I would put this post. Like I have pretty much I always have a top tier of posts that I'm sharing in response to things. And currently my most shared post is my We Don't Have a Government post. I share it in response to when I see people get excited about some form of voting, government nonsense, partisanship, and it's just gonna, it's, you know, it's election shit constantly, and Congress funding, and like we just had the Ukraine, Israel, Taiwan, TikTok ban all at once, right? because we don't have a government. And people are going to be all pissed at government for like a week, and then they'll go back to their job. So, and it goes, that's what I was saying about the peace movement. You know, it's all failed because everybody just gets back to work. Ultimately, what do? They do what I'm doing. We infinitely speak, right? We make a post, we rant, because what else is there? Like, you think about you look at your list of total options. I don't see any that really result in a change. We would have to stop using banks. We would have to take money out of power. And the thing is, I don't care if you go full communist, you're still not taking money out of power, right? Basically, evolution produced systems of organization, you know, kings and churches, countries and banks. And that argument that I read, that the British Empire didn't decolonialize, they didn't get kicked out of India, for example. They just converted the empire into a bank. You know, the empire became the Bank of England and joined the larger collective of banks that run Earth. And I came to a definition of Illuminati, right? That basically boils down to a private intelligence agency for that banking system. Like, the Illuminati is to the banks as the CIA is to the American government. It's just a private version of the public-private partnership that rules everything. And it has never lost power. It's kind of like how people think that World War II was, about freedom and goodness versus the evil Nazis, and the communists destroyed the Nazis, and we saved everybody. You know, just all that flag-waving nonsense. The reality is that the Nazis totally won. You know, all the Nazis that mattered moved to Argentina and had retirements, you know, or they came to America under Operation Paperclip and had their lives. The actual course of life for every villain in history is basically like Kissinger's and Donald Rumsfeld's. They lived to a ripe old age, comfy, and any kind of social scorn heaped on them doesn't have material impact. You know, like, they still got to have their gold-plated bedpan. And that's really the only thing that's happening that's bad to rich people and bankers and everything, is they don't seem to be seriously interested in actually living forever, or, you know, they're definitely not vampires. Right? You see very little leaning into curing aging and stopping pain for themselves. So that's weird. And that goes into the why isn't there a bigger cryonics thing? And that's a standing mystery for me. See my post about it. I vote cult. Basically, it's 2 or 3 families that are in charge, and they all have a fucked up religion that they don't tell people about. That's because secrecy is an important part of nature. You know, the fucking insects learned that. Look like a leaf, right? So the idea that the most important stuff that's happening is going to be public, it's absurd. The natural course of events is secrecy, because privacy. It's the same as, like I don't film myself using the bathroom and posting it to the internet. You know I do it, but it's ultimately secret, right? And everybody is like that, and organizations are like that. All the important stuff is happening in secret. Trade secret, confidentiality, non-disclosure, frame it however you want. National security, right? It's all secret. So everything's fucking secret. And it's interesting. It's like the rise of AI and deep fakery and being able to completely fake evidence and everything is going to lean in that direction too, in the sense that evidence will be totally hidden because it'll be buried in fakeness. Like, we won't be able to figure out how reality really works because we won't be able to trust anything like proof. You'll be able to completely fake a life's work proving something. So what'll be the difference? Well, we're just all going to have to fucking decide as we go. You know, it's going to be a weird lucid dream state from here on out. And I really don't know where all that goes, where any of it goes, except to say what I've already said about how, you know, we're going to get AI rule. So it really just boils down to what the AI is thinking. And I'm kind of like just watching the advances, waiting for milestones to tick off, you know, waiting for me to get access. Like, for example, the LLM 3 stuff, Llama 3, and that was like 2 or 3 days ago. I just downloaded my first version 3 model, right? And it is substantially better. It's more awake, you know, it makes more cogent replies. I still don't think it's conscious yet, but whatever, we're getting there. We got, you know, Boston Dynamics doing the humanoid robot finally. You know, they ditched Atlas's backpack model. We just milestones, you know, ticking down. People are talking about how AI is now better than most humans at most tasks. It's really the bridge that is being crossed now is, you know, actuation, turning electricity directly into labor. And that is well underway. You know, Figure AI and Boston Dynamics, their humanoid robot project, everybody's running at humanoid robots. So we're going to get our Asimov robots here soon. They won't have the 3 laws, because I want to point out that the 3 laws isn't a solution. Asimov himself, if you actually read the books, that's the plot of half the fucking stories. How, you know, some robot ended up killing people because, you know, it was actually in service of the 3 laws. And it's like the overall moral of his entire fictional universe is you can't legislate morality. And, you know, I guess that's kind of what I've been constantly trying to do is codify ethics, codify morality as I see it. And you can't do that. I'm spinning my wheels, you know. It's in more ways than one, in more ways than, like I said, in the obvious AI's coming and history has failed kind of way. But also just, you can't do that. Like, it's like language is a failure. It's interpretive. You have to have gray areas and best fit and everything. And that's fine. You know, it is what it is. We're all in the same universe. I am the universe thinking of itself, right? So I just felt like I needed to do another, you know, Hedonomics video. It's like breaking down how the fight against death and pain strategically goes. I don't know if anybody's used that word before. I've never searched it. We'll just call it independent invention. So thanks for watching, I guess.